Yo, what up, guys? Travic here. Today, let's talk the campaign and let's talk blasting our way through the campaign. Very recently, I decided to try a new build and cave to the Deadeye meta. So I needed to level a new character, and like many of you who are looking to reroll, I was looking for one of the quickest ways to go through the campaign, and I think I have something for you today. If you've been keeping along with what I've been doing in the league, you'll know that I recently was playing a gemling that was playing with Whirling Slash. Well, Whirling Slash was really fast, and then it got nerfed, and then we worked on fixing the speed and got the speed back up to par. And with that, we were able to start once again using Whirling Slash. Now, in the campaign, before the nerf, Whirling Slash was insane, so I said, well, let's see how it does post-nerf. Is it still just as good? Can we fly through the campaign? Is it as good as I think it's going to be? And well, the results were absolutely shocking. Earlier today, I leveled a Deadeye. I started it on stream. The servers crashed. I stopped stream. I took a break. I had dinner. I came back and I finished leveling it. And well, let's take a look. Currently, my Deadeye is level 62. We are in the Ziggurat Refuge, and I'm going to hide my face for this one so that we could talk about how fast we've gone. And as soon as we load in, we're going to hit a slash blade, and we are 4 hours and 56 minutes to get through the entirety of the campaign. Now, before anybody says anything, this is Rise of the Abyss League, and we are here. We are through it. We can go to the Ziggurat, and we can start our journey on our way to maps. Now, before you ask me how I did it, let me show you what's going on. We are playing with pretty much Whirling Slash. Whirling Slash, we got the speed back up to a really respectable amount. And because we have Whirling Slash, we can play with Twisters, and Twisters in the campaign absolutely obliterated everything. What I have for you now is I have an entire set. You can see I didn't even finish emptying my bags from the campaign. I finished literally running the campaign and was like, well, let's go make this a video and talk about what's going on. So here's where we're at, and here's what happened. When we went through the campaign now, we used a little bit of leveling gear, and then we used a little bit of our gear. So let's take up the leveling gear and talk about what we have and what we did and what you two can do to make sure you are able to successfully do this as well. First and foremost, we are going to need a basic set of leveling gear, and all of this gear should run you maybe 1x, 2x a piece, depending on how the market looks. But if we take the gray make helmet, you could see with decent rolls, it's about 5C. If we get any roll at all, you can see they're about 2x. I have regular gloves that I vendored because I needed strength to start my character. I have 2 black art iron rings, which were 1 exalt a piece. I have a Carnage Heart with literally any rolls. This one was 10x. You can get a very basic Carnage Heart for 1x. A Pulsacline ring, which was 1x. A Chain Sting hunting spear, which was 1 Regal Orb. A vendored hardwood spear. A vendored wrapped quarterstaff. Wanderlust boots, which were 4x. Wake of Destruction, any roll, which were 3x. And then the rest of the basics of gear. Now, I did have a Midnight Braid belt. This was 1x. These were the same boots. I just put my 2 socketed ones on that had runes in them. And then I put on Hand of Wisdom in action as soon as I could because they were only 4 Exalted Orbs. Why and how they're so cheap? I don't know. But at the time of recording, they were 4x. I managed to snag myself a half decent pair. The Frenzy Charge plays no role in the campaign, and a almost max roll was 10 Chaos or 20 Exalted Orbs. So overall, the leveling gear in itself is very cheap. Where it gets expensive with leveling gear is the Sky Sliver. This is the weapon that I use for 99% of the campaign. If you get a Sky Sliver with a high roll of attack speed, it costs you a little bit of, it's going to be a little pricey. If you get a really basic one just to go through the campaign with attack speed, it's about 10 Exalted Orbs. The Sky Sliver is 100% only used for the attack speed to move with your Whirling Slash, and it will be your main damage dealer until you get to Tangle Tongue or you get to a rare spear. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to use this weapon in your main hand to move around, and then your offhand or your weapon set 2 is going to be for damage with either Tangle Tongue or a nice rare spear. Outside of that, eventually this helmet does nothing, so I just grabbed another helmet to throw on. It literally didn't even matter. I just threw on any helmet that was in my bags. And then we grabbed a Tabula. The most mind-blowing thing to me at the time when I started leveling was Tabula was 8 Exalted Orbs. How and why they were 8 Exalted Orbs was the most... bro, Like what? So you can get a tabula. And the reason why tabula is so important is that you can stick in regular jewels inside of your tabula and you can take the jewels out. So you could get a tabula and then you could socket it with a bunch of jewels to what you're doing. So for in our case, since we're playing Whirling Slash, we get jewels with a bunch of attack speed and they're like 1 chaos each. We get attack speed with spears and attack speed and they become 1 chaos each. And that essentially is our entirety of movement speed. Any other roll on the jewel is nice, but we don't care. And you essentially spend 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're pretty much under a divine for everything, depending on the roll of the Sky Sliver. Outside of that, as you start progressing and leveling through the campaign, if you have good rings from the character you're going to play, put your good gear on. As you can see, I started equipping my good gear at the end of the last interlude because I was at the stage where I can do it. I don't even have my last 2 points aren't even put in yet. But overall, the build in itself is very quick. It's very snappy. The gear that you need is very simple. Here's the skills that we're using. And this is the next important part. We are going to be using a Whirling Slash level 1. You never want to level Whirling Slash. Whirling Slash is only used for our movement, and we want to make sure that we never have mana issues, so Whirling Slash stays at a very low level. We're going to be pairing that with rapid attacks because we want more attack speed. We don't care about the damage loss. Rage to give us rage, and we get 15% more attack speed while you're not at maximum rage. And then we have heightened accuracy because we're going to be doing a little bit of accuracy stacking with our tree to get some more accuracy for more speed. This will be on our weapon set 1. Our weapon set 2 is going to be our Twister. At the beginning, when you first start this character, this weapon set 2 thing won't be a thing. You'll probably do this when you hit Act 4, late into Act 4, so you can have this on weapon set 1 and 2. But you're just going to have Twister eventually on weapon set 2. Your Twister, you will indeed level. It's very important to level your Twister. It's our main damage dealing source. We're going to combine it with Salvo. Salvo is this 3 at the bottom here. When we have Salvo up, you can see we make a lot of Twisters. If we don't have Salvo up and we cast Twisters, we get a small amount of Twisters. So you want to make sure that you are casting when you have 3 salvos. We're using projectile acceleration because we want more projectile speed for our Twisters, and we're doing prolonged duration so that our Twisters last a really long time. Early off in the campaign, you're going to be able to get Barrage as early as Act 1. As soon as you kill the Executioner guy and free the dude will give you a level 5 gem. You're going to cut Barrage. Barrage essentially empowers your attack and repeats it for every frenzy charge, and it just repeats it twice to begin with. And essentially is, if I cast my Twisters now unempowered, they look like this. If I wait for my Salvo to kick back in and we get our Twisters nice and ready and I Barrage Salvo, we cast double the amount. So Barrage is just a huge damage multiplier. We're going to be pairing that with rapid casting so that we cast Barrage very, very quickly. Heightened charges so that we can have the benefits from our charges be doubled because eventually we'll be generating frenzy charges, and perpetual charge so that we can have a chance to not consume our charges and get more uses out of them. As we go through the campaign, we're going to unlock Spirit, and you can see my Spirit gems are literally all over the place. I started with Herald of Ice, and I put Magnified Area and Cold Attunement. Eventually I got more Spirit, and then I tacked on Combat Frenzy and Charge Profusion. I should have actually reverted these 2, and I should have gotten Herald of Thunder first, then Herald of Ice, so keep that in mind. And then last, because I messed up, I grabbed the Herald of Thunder with Electrocute and Lightning, or Living Lightning. So just swap these 2 around, get Herald of Thunder first and then Herald of Ice. And then you're just cruising. You're cruising. You see, I didn't even level the Herald of Thunder after a while. I just completely forgot I had it. I didn't even need it. The Combat Frenzy is not as high as it can go. The Herald of Thunder is a little high. And, you know, overall, my skills and stats are a little bit of a mess. My resistances, not the best. You know, we're talking about leveling gear. My resistances are pretty poor, but it didn't matter. I was able to crush through the entire campaign. Now, since we've talked about what the gear looks like throughout the campaign, let's talk about one very important thing at the exact beginning of the campaign. And I hope people don't miss this, but this is a little bit of an important one. When you start your journey through the campaign at level 1, you're gonna want to use Twisters and you're gonna want to use Whirling Slash. The big takeaway though is you're not going to have access right away to a ground effect. So what do I mean by that? If I cast my Twisters, let's actually move out of, this is the best way. If I cast my Twisters regularly without a ground effect. You can see the twisters, they look like this and they're unempowered. If I give my character a ground effect, such as shock ground, my twisters become empowered and turn into lightning twisters. Now, why is this relevant? Well, this is relevant because in the campaign, you will not have access to
nature's fury.
You will not have access to a ground effect right away. You'll have to come up with a solution to your ground effect, and the easiest way to solve this solution is to use Frozen Locust. Essentially what happens is you'll make your twisters, you'll cast Frozen Locust, and now your twisters are infused. Well, I gotta take this off so it works. Oh wait, these are backwards. That's why it's not working. Hold on. I forgot I had the weapon sets changed. So this here. There we go. I have to fix my weapon sets to work. Okay. So you see we're really slow. This is the speed in the camp. This is the speed until level 16. So you see our twisters are not empowered. Now, if we use Frozen Locust and we empower our twisters, we cast Frozen Locust, and now we have these nice cold twisters. Essentially, you want to do this so that you have access to empower twisters so they deal more damage. Now, note, you want to go twister, 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 Frozen Locust, and then fire, because that's how they get empowered. If you go Frozen Locust, twister, 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 you have to break the Frozen Locust first for them to get powered. So it's twister, 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 Frozen Locust, boom, and this pretty much just one-shots everything in Act 1 all the way to Act 2. And then as soon as you get to Act 2, you'll hit level 16, you'll put on your Wake of Destruction, you'll put on your Sky Sliver, and then you'll start to get a little bit of movement speed and you'll start to be off to the races. Is this not working? What did I do? Oh, this is on the wrong weapon set. There we go. Yep. See, as soon as you get to your Sky Sliver, you're just off to the races. It gets a little awkward and a little weird with the two weapon set things, but as you like start to play it and go through it, it becomes a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And you know, the first time is always the most complicated, but as soon as you get through it, it's fine. Now, going on to our passive tree, the only thing that I did in terms of ascendancy was I clicked Deadeye because I was leveling a Deadeye. I wanted to showcase the power of what I was doing without spending a whole lot of points into your ascendancy tree and getting an act carry. So you can see I don't have like the extra points. The only one that I went out of my way to get was Tailwind, because Tailwind is absolutely completely busted. But here's what we did, and this works. I'm assuming this will be very good and very viable on any class that you pick and play, because you just path to the right side of the tree. Essentially what we did was we took any kind of attack speed node, because the attack speed nodes scale our Whirling Slash. So we came this way to Honed Instincts. We then came down here to Precision Salvo, which gave us more attack speed and accuracy rating. We then immediately beeline to Falcon Dive so that we gained attack speed per accuracy, hence why we have the accuracy in our stuff. We then took acceleration for skill and movement speed, and then we took the entire spear wheel and Dance with Death. Dance with Death is the big reason why we don't have anything in our offhand, so that we get that nice extra 25% more skill speed. You can actually probably get Dance with Death first, then Falcon Dive, then acceleration, then this wheel here, and you'll be okay. After you do the main priority down here, you're essentially going to want to get yourself a little bit of damage. So you can take these nodes here for damage. You can come down here, take these nodes down here for damage, and then you can work your way up to this side of the tree up here. Essentially, we're going to go over here to Essence of the Mountain to get a little bit of cold damage. We're going to come over here to Tenfold Attack, Killer Instincts, and then we're going to work our way up to Deep Trance. Now you're going to say to me, yo, Trav, but you have weapon sets. What's going on? Well, in your first 3 or 4 campaign acts, or your first 3 or 4 acts, you're not going to have this whole weapon set thing. You're going to have weapon set points. Weapon sets get confusing, and you're like, I don't know what to do. So hear me out. This is what you do. Until you're in like act or preludes, don't worry about weapon sets. Literally path to Honed Instincts, path to Precision Salvo, path to Falcon Dive, and then path to acceleration. And take Dance with Death somewhere in there. When you get to your extra points, take the Host Spear Wheel, and then come down here and take the Attack and Primal Sundering. Just take them regularly. Once you get to like level 50, you can put your second spear on, things start moving and cruising, and you have a good second spear. whether it be Tangle Tongue or a nice rare spear, then worry about your second passive sets with your weapon sets. Essentially what happens is as you progress through the campaign, eventually you're going to get those little point books that give you 2 extra passive points, and they're going to give you weapon sets. And what you'll do is, and I'll unspec these to show you, is what you'll do is you'll take your weapon set and you'll put your weapon set points in here. So essentially, if I have weapon set 1 on, these points are on. If I switch to weapon set 2, you can see these points here turned on and these points turned off. So these turn on, these turn off. And you can set up your tree to have different weapon sets. What we want and what we're aiming for is weapon set 1, because it's Sky Sliver, to only be movement speed because we're never attacking with it, and we want it to scale us to the moon. So essentially, here's what happens. So like if I swap these around and I don't have Sky Sliver on in weapon set 1, I have Tangle Tongue, you can see my attack speed is relatively slow. If I do it this way, my attack speed's a lot faster. And you just take full advantage of the new weapon swap system. And since, you know, you can weapon swap instantly and you can cast your spells without having to worry about a delay, weapon sets become your absolute best friend. And then that's really it. Now, there's weapon sets that are going to be included for you down below in the mobalytics. You can see I took crit nodes on weapon set 2. I took some nodes down here on weapon set 2. These are all on weapon set 1. These over here too are just taken. Eventually, these would go to weapon set 1. And it's pretty straightforward with what you have to do. If you're confused, it doesn't make sense, please ask me down below in the comments. Come stop by the live stream or the Discord. I'll be more than happy to help. But from my testing, I was able to do gemling. I started with gemling and I went this way on my gemling and did the exact same thing. I started ranger, you do the same thing here. If you start monk, you do the same thing here. If you start witch and you want to do it on witch, you do the same thing here. You just come up the attribute nodes and you work your way over. The only classes that might have a hard time is anything that starts on this side of the tree, because it's really awkward and weird pathing to get to this side of the tree. So warriors, I'm sorry, my bad. I know you guys have a big stick. I'm sure you'll hit something with it and it'll work out great. But for everybody else, you can do this. Now, if you were to start warrior and you wanted to path all the way over here, I would say you could probably like come down this way, cut right across, and it's a little bit of extra points to really get it rolling. But you have access to things like strength and evasion, you'll have access to projectile damage, and you just want to take the least amount of points possible to start getting to all these movement speed and attack speed nodes. You definitely wouldn't want to cut from down here and come all the way across. You would definitely want to come like this. And if you were to start here, you would want to come up this way and cut across this way. But like I said, I did everything. It's been 5 hours and 12 minutes now because this video has been about 17 minutes long, but I blasted through the campaign. It was an absolute ease. It wasn't lightning arrow, unfortunately it was Deadeye, but when I did my gemling, I did the gemling very close to the same way, and I had pre-nerfed movement speed and it was still just as fast. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys because like I said, I blew through the campaign. I'm completely baffled at how fast I did it. And I was just like, well, let's go tell people because people are going to want to re-roll and people want a good way to re-roll. So like I said, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Make sure you leave a like, a comment, do all that fun jazz. It really means the world to me. But yeah, I'm going to get this video to you guys. And if you have any questions, reach out. But for now, friends, I'll see you all in the next one.